Okay. No. Yep. Okay. Awesome. All right, we're ready recording, so. All right, thanks. Later.
Turn that down, buddy.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike McClin. Kyle Schmidt. Actually, that's Mike McClin in the background. I was just kidding. I'm here to do another episode of.
What a start.
I'm here to do another episode of Stoke Meter and help you guys out with some instruction. So, any questions that you guys have about wakeboarding and progressing, hopefully I can help you out. Just so everybody knows, we're in the offices of learnwake.com, your source for online instruction. Mike made that up, so I just had to throw that in there. All right, let's go with the first question, if there is one. Graph. Hey there. How's LearnWake coming along? LearnWake's doing great. We're growing, constantly. We have a worldwide demographic. People are joining every day. The site is growing. There's a lot of content. We try to update it every week, daily if possible. The bulletin board is a really good resource for instruction. People are uploading lots of videos, and I analyze them for them and try to help them out. So yeah, it's doing really good. This is we're only a little over a year old, so it's still growing, and we're pretty pumped. So let's see. Meat Wagon. LearnWake is the. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Goog. You also have a board company you're starting. Yeah, Joel Hilliard he's the one who is kind of the forefather of humanoid wakeboards, and he got me on board to do a lot of the product design and shaping. So I shaped the first board series called the Oracle, and it's a sandwich construction, which a lot of other companies are doing as well, and we're calling them flex and anti-flex boards. So hopefully we can get both sides of the market. There's people who like flex and some who don't like flex. So we want to offer something for everybody, but with the sandwich type construction. So we think it's a lot more durable, and hopefully it'll last longer. Let's see. Larry, do you have a wakeboard you can show us? Unfortunately, I do not have any here at the office. Maurice actually mentioned that to me. He said he wanted to see one too, and I didn't even think to bring one to the office. Next month, when I do a show, I'll make sure to bring some along with me. I have some prototypes still at my house, and we're close to launching and shipping. So you can buy them right now on the website, but we don't have a ship date up yet, just because we're still waiting on materials. And as soon as we get all the materials, we'll start full production. Let's see. Larry, will you be using humanoid boards at the wakeboard camp? Unfortunately, Liquid Force has an exclusive at the wakeboard camp. So far, that's been a really good relationship, and we don't want to do anything to mess that up. Liquid Force does a really good job of supplying the camp with, their whole line basically for campers to use, and it works out great. And until humanoid is a force to be reckoned with in the wakeboard industry, then maybe that's something that'll happen down the road. But as of right now, Liquid Force will remain the exclusive sponsor for the wakeboard camp. Hank, did I hear that you are shaping? Yes, I am shaping, and it's pretty awesome. I've worked in the industry with liquid force for many years. Learned a lot from Jimmy Redmond. I think he's one of the best, or the best shaper in the industry. And always love to do, like tinker and do product design and create new stuff. And I finally have a home where I can shape boards and build product and actually see finished product and get it out to you guys. So I'm pretty excited about that, and hopefully we can get this thing going full bore. So let's see. You are multi-talented. Thank you. I always have many irons in the fire, so I try to stay involved in the wake industry and do my part to help the industry grow. Let me turn my text off. Oh, that was my wife wishing me good luck. That was sweet. All right, next question. Meat wagon. I see that on your boards there's like round corners that stick out from the board. What are the benefits of that? It's actually not really a round corner. Some of the previous released images had rounder corners. We called them ears. But what we did is we squared those off. And basically the concept is, I've always liked round shaped boards because I think they're the most forgiving shape out there. No hang-ups, makes when you mess up on tricks or if you're trying to do slides and stuff like that, there's nothing to hang up. But we wanted to basically trap a round shaped board inside, a square shaped board. So basically that's what it is. It's a round perimeter shape, but then those little tips that stick out give you the bite through turns that a square tip board will give you. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. It's a rounder overall perimeter shape with a little bit more bite than a normal round shape. So yeah. So far the shape's been great. People are jumping on it, not having to take much time to adjust to it. It's very. For our first release, I wanted to make a very user-friendly shape, and I didn't want to make something that was too crazy and that people would have to try to figure out how to ride. I wanted it just to work good, pop good, and just kind of ride smooth across the water. Let's see. Stu, are you competing at all? No, I haven't competed for a very long time. Competitions were never really my thing. I actually did a double-up contest 3 years ago at Worlds. Actually, well, yes, 3 Worlds ago now. And that was the first competition I did since, I can't even remember. Just never was good at the whole fast pace of competitions going back and forth, and never was really able to train as a competition rider. So I've always just kind of coached and worked at the camp, and I kind of ride like I preach, slow, smooth, use the physics out there, and don't rush things. So let's see, next question. What is a typical day like at the camp? We're pretty, wakeboarders tend to be pretty mellow. We're a chill group of people, and that's kind of how the camp is. We're really serious about instruction, but we're relaxed. Like you basically you wake up in the morning, you eat some breakfast at around 8:15, 8:20. Get your boards ready, change boards, demo new equipment, and then about 9 o'clock we head out in the boats and we take a morning session. Where you can either ride twice or once, we have probably one of the most duplicated programs and styles of teaching on the planet, probably the best program in the world. So we really focus on breaking stuff down, and everything focuses on the basics. Even for the pros, those guys have to go back to basics sometimes and learn little things, little drills, little techniques to help them land their harder tricks. So we focus on stuff like that. Take a morning session, come in about 12:30, have lunch, relax, jump on the trampoline, watch TV, play Guitar Hero, browse the web till about 2:30, and then we go back out for the afternoon session, and then you ride again, and then come back in at 6:30 for dinner, and then the rest is just hangout time till the next day. So it's pretty chill environment, but it's focused on learning a ton while you're there for the week. Let's see. What's the funniest thing you've seen while coaching? Funniest thing. Probably, I mean, that's a tough one. I would have to say, I would have to say any wake skate fall is funny. Um, I can't really recall the funniest thing I've seen while coaching. I wasn't, yeah, I wasn't really coaching Mike, but Mike used to do some pretty funny things when we were riding. I won't get into that. But yeah, any wake skate fall, man, those are pretty. They never really hurt that much, but they always look funny because limbs are flying all over the place, like legs will fly, up over heads and stuff like that, and I always get a kick out of that. So, but funniest thing coaching, I can't recall anything that stands out. Let's see. Devin, thinking about making any wake skates? It's a possibility. Um, you know, I, I Aaron Reed has been at the wakeboard camp. He lives in Texas now, but he was at that's kind of how he was able to ride too, by working at the camp, and I made the book Wake Skate with him and learned a lot about wake skates, and we always talked about innovations and and stuff like that. And I mean, I definitely wouldn't be out of the question. And I'm sure it'll get to that point where Humanoid will start selling wake skates too. So, but it'll probably be a collaboration at that point with someone who actually knows, more about wake skating than myself. Um, how boards should feel and stuff like that. I've never been really good at wake skating, never wake skated a lot, so I'd rather get some input from someone who, knows their stuff. Let's see. Whoa. Apocalypse, when you're filming a trick, what is the key to breaking it down into instruction? Um, well, I assume you're talking about um, like when we film videos and make the videos. Oh man, it just depends on the video. We do all kinds of stuff. We can take a single clip and point out specific details of how you should execute the trick, or take a lot of times what's good to do is we take a right and a wrong and compare them side by side, so that way you can see the differences between right and wrong. But other times we do some, we like to, at Learn Wake, we like to do a lot of out of the ordinary kind of instruction. Like we have one video that we just put up, and it's called Speeding Up Switch Progression, and it's a few drills that are just really out of the ordinary that no one would probably think to do, but it really helps your riding. So um, breaking down I mean, we basically have a video in mind, and then we go out with a shot list and get all the shots that we need to kind of explain that coaching. So that's a tough question. Sorry, I probably didn't answer that one very good. Let's see. Stag. I was watching the videos on so how is that possible? He's talking about how Sean Murray hardly cuts out. He just builds line tension, and I mean, wakeboarding in general is all about controlling line tension, or the tension on the line and the pressure against the bottom of your board. So man, Sean has been in it so long, and he's done so many things, like ridden the cable, wake skated very well. He's been wakeboarding forever. He's skied, skied jumped, trick skied. I mean, he's got so much water time that he's able to control his edge and control the leverage on the line, and boost himself out that big using line tension. And a lot of that comes from learning cable tricks or air tricks. A lot of people don't take the time to learn air tricks, and they don't really understand how wakeboarding actually works. A lot of people think that a jump is just getting speed and then jumping off the wake, but to really catapult yourself up into the air, you have to kind of understand the knowledge of how to get pop without the wake, meaning how, like doing a flip without the wake, at the cable, or even behind the boat without the wake. Our sport actually went through a time when you had to include air tricks in your passes, and for a lot of people that really helped them kind of hone their skills on a wakeboard. Looks like Mike's getting ready to leave. Are you getting ready to leave?
I don't know, I'm debating.
But yeah, I mean, what Sean's doing is he's loading the line. He's using line tension and pressure, edge pressure to catapult himself up. And a lot of that, like I said, comes from learning air tricks and just, wakeboarding a lot. Apocalypse, one of the funniest dudes to see wreck is George Daniels. Yeah, I totally agree with that. George is so funny when he falls. His crash sections are pretty entertaining. He's so tall and skinny. It seems like all the tall and skinny guys just fall really funny. Like Aaron used to fall really funny too. So, let's see. Let me read this one. It's pretty long. So, pretty solid on weights, weight jumps. How do I do a tantrum? Okay, first thing with a tantrum is it's not your normal cut. Like most tricks, wake jumps, back rolls, everything is an accelerating edge, except for what we call trip flips. Tantrum is a trip flip. It's basically you edge hard at the beginning, you have to flatten your edge, and you actually switch your edge at the wake. So if you're coming in on your heels, you have to flatten off and then hit the wake on your toes, so you get tripped back by the wake. The thing about a trip flip is you have to be hard on the outside, knowing that you're going to sacrifice some. So like when you edge in hard and then flatten, that's actually a slowing down motion. So you kind of have to overdo it. You have to edge in too hard, knowing that you're going to minus a little bit of edge, so that way you still have enough momentum to pop the trig up high and flip and get tripped and all that stuff. So that's the first key, is you got to get the edge right. Now most everything else is a slow start, an accelerating edge. Tantrums are a hard start, flat at the wake, and then switch your edge as you hit the wake. It's a trip flip edge. Number two is tantrums are a one-handed trick. You got to have your backhand off the handle before you actually hit the wake. A lot of people make the mistake of riding up the wake with two hands, and then they don't square up enough, or it causes them to not be able to switch their edge enough, and they throw the trick with a lot of line tension, or they throw it away from the boat, and it just makes the trick very hard to execute. So, excuse me. So yeah, that's number two. So first is the edge. You got to get the edge right. It's got to be a trip flip edge. Number two, it's a one-handed trick. So you got to edge in with two. When you flatten off right before the wake, you got to let go with one hand. You got to let go with one hand, and then you got to square up your shoulders. So you got to get your shoulders in line with the wake, and then you got to trip yourself back. So probably the three most important parts: the edge, letting go early, it's a one-handed trick, and then making sure that you square up your shoulders to the wake so that your shoulders are parallel with the wake or parallel with the rope going to the boat. And then you just stand tall and then look up and back, and then you'll flip over. So yeah, that's basically how you start a tantrum. We teach a lot of people to do it one wake first, and sometimes we teach them to let go of the rope so they can land in the middle without the rope, and then we progress to holding onto the rope and then two wakes on a short line. So next question. Meatwagon says he's learning a toe side 540. And you watch Ben Greenwood. That's a good person to watch. Let's see. And I can grab and then hug the spin around. No, I mean, it's not just strength. It's a progression. When Ben first learned fives, he wasn't grabbing them first, and it probably took him a while to learn grabs. You always kind of climb the progression ladder, like toe side 180 first, get that down. Toe side 3, get that down. Get it consistent, and then toe side 5, get that consistent, and get it so comfortable that you feel like you have more time to do more stuff in the air. I wouldn't call it strength. I would just call it comfort. When you have more comfort, you feel like you can do more stuff. You can spin further and just add. We call them add-ons. So you can just add stuff to it, like how Ben pokes the board. Grabs, pokes. That's just all because he pops it real high and he's comfortable in the air, comfortable enough to kind of add all those style add-ons to the trick. So we actually teach a lot of people to do toe side, front side 540s one wake. You don't need a lot of height. Since your toe side, you're twisted. It's a twisted position, so your lower body, it's kind of hard to see. Your lower body's already twisted, so when you leave the wake, you can untwist. Um, so it actually gives you a lot more momentum to spin. And it's one of the easiest 540s to learn because of that. So as you ride up the wake, you're just unloading what's already twisted up. So you can come in real slow, pop really high off of one wake, and then just really untwist your body and pass the handle and land the 5 in the middle. So a lot of people think they have to learn it wake to wake, but they don't really have to. One wake is an easier option, but one wake on a longer rope, so you have room in the middle to the land. Let's go with the next question. Devin, I heard about some idiot stealing Sean's pay it forward board. I don't know. I never heard about that. I'm out of the loop on that one. Stuart, how do you get more pop out of a tantrum if you have to let off your edge? Well, it's kind of like I said. You have to build up too much speed. So like the best way I like to explain it is, let's say on a scale of 0 to 10, edging wise and acceleration wise, 10 is your hardest edge, 0 is no edge, no speed. Let's say you need at least 5 at the wake to be able to pop the trick, clear the wake, flip, land on the other side. If you're flattening off, let's call that minus. So let's call it -5, just for explanation purposes. So if you're edging hard at the beginning and then minusing 5, and we need 5 left, what do you have to start with? You have to start with 10. So if you start with 10 minus 5, then you still have 5 left at the wake to be able to pop the trick and then kick yourself over. So that's kind of how a trip flip edge works. You always overdo it, sacrifice some, but still have enough left to do the trick. Looks like Cassie Sitchell's on. What's up, Cassie? Let's see, sync. Sync is a Canadian. Been going down to Florida for comps and everything, doing super good in them. Coming in first gravel tour, performances, amateur tour. That's cool. What's the best way to get hooked up with someone down in Florida to live with? It sounds like you're doing the right thing. I mean, if you're coming down here for comps and meeting people in the competition, that's the best way. Get in the competition scene. Yeah, just travel around all the comps, get to know people, forums, post it in the forums, looking for a roommate, stuff like that. That's a tough one. Roommates or rooms down in Florida are kind of hard to come by. This is the mecca for wakeboarding, so as soon as one comes available, man, someone snags it up. And so you got to be on the ball when it comes to finding a pro to live with or someone who's trying to be pro. A lot of times a couple of friends will come down to Florida and rent a house together, and then just kind of get in the scene, because this is definitely the scene down here. Dubs. Yeah, we have Dubs is talking about his tantrum and how every time he throws them, he does a 180. A lot of people have this problem when they start to throw tantrums. Number one, it's kind of I think it's a defense mechanism. A lot of people try to guard themselves from under-rotating or landing on their toes. So they take the handle and they move it across their body. And what that does is it leverages you into a spin, just like if you were going to do a 180, you would push the handle. The other thing they do is they try to spot the water by turning their head too early. So when you look up, if they don't see anything, they try to look towards the boat or look to the side so they can try to see the water as soon as possible. And that head turn will actually turn you in the air too. So those two things combined will actually make you do a 180 on the way down. The most common way that people turn by mistake is front side, so it ends up looking like a tantrum to fakie. the best thing to do is actually let go of the rope, flip without the rope. Pop off the wake, hold onto the rope, but then halfway through the trick, let go of it and try to land straight down, like maybe in the middle of the wake or on the other side of the wakes, but land without the rope, so that way you don't have the rope to leverage across your body, and that'll take some of the turn out. The other thing you can do is, if you're turning towards your front shoulder, as you flip, look towards your back shoulder, so kind of counterbalance that movement with the opposite, direction. So a lot of times if someone's turning front side and doing a 180, I'll tell them to keep their chin at their back shoulder the whole time they're flipping and see if that fixes the problem. So that's one way you can fix it. Other way is you can also push the handle the opposite way. So if you're moving the handle across your body and that's turning your front side, try moving the handle to blind. So just do the opposite of what is causing the problem, and then see if you get results. I hope that answers that question. That's a very, very common problem. Looks like my daughter is on. Alex Schmidt, that's my 6-year-old daughter. Hi, sweetie. Stag, what is your background growing up? Oh man, my background is actually baseball. I played baseball until I was almost 18 years old. Actually, almost till I was 20 years old. I played 2 years of college baseball as a pitcher, and I gave up baseball and started wakeboarding, and just kind of stuck with it, and it turned into a career. So it's been pretty awesome. But yeah, I played baseball since I was 6 years old. Ball sports were my background, and when I was 18 years old, I'd come home from college for the summer, and I'd work at a resort, and I got thrown into a ski boat, to pull tubers and teach people how to ski, and I didn't really know how to ski, and so basically I had to learn how to teach myself, and I think that's been a big or played a big role in becoming a good coach and stuff like that. So yeah, my background is definitely ball sports, but for the last 15 years I've been wakeboarding full time. So let's see, next question. What's the best way to approach sponsors and get hooked up? The process is a lot of times it's definitely the competition scene. A lot of people do the amateur competitions, and they get noticed in competitions, and they either get a shop sponsor or a local rep sponsor, and it's basically just a flow sponsorship. You start with flow product, you get free product, and then you just continue to work hard and get exposure in magazines, videos, just in the industry in general. Build relationships with reps, and then the reps hopefully will pass the word on to the manufacturers. But shops, shops and competitions, that's a great way to get, started with sponsors. Looks like my daughter's going to sleep. Good night, sweetie, love you. Thanks for embarrassing me on Stoke Meter. Laugh out loud. LOL. Did Mike go to school for media? Yes, he did. Mike, do you want to answer this?
You answer.
Why, are you embarrassed?
No.
What are you working on back there?
Website.
Yeah,
girly website.
Mike actually went to Full Sail, which is a very well respected, what do you call it? Media?
Yeah, media school.
A media school, and he graduated with a 3D animation degree, right?
Yep, computer animation.
Computer animation degree, and now has kind of self-taught himself and become a really good web designer. He's the face, the technical guy behind LearnWake.com and a lot of other websites. He just recently built Sean Kilgus's BFY site, Trevor Hansen's new website, trevorhansen.com. Undergroundproducts.com, humanoidwake.com. So yeah, he's amazing. So check out all those websites if you want to see Mike McClenn's work. He's good. He's also a man of many talents. Amazing bowler too. D-Man, how come you don't see more male gymnasts coming into the sport like you do females? That's a weird question. I don't really know. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people that come into wakeboarding have board sports backgrounds too, not necessarily gymnast backgrounds. Yeah, I don't really know how to answer that question, but it seems like if you skateboarded, surfed, I don't know, Mike, you got some insight on that?
I think men's wakeboard's more saturated. I think women's wakeboarding isn't as saturated, so it's kind of like there's more of a, it's easier to get to, it's easier to get to the top. It's not as many people. And I think there's already a precedent for that happening with Dallas and other people.
Yeah.
So I think that there's already been a formula on the women's side. I think women see that they can get into it from that.
Right. Yeah, back in the day, there was only a handful of top pros that were taking advantage of, I wouldn't call it taking advantage of. That's probably the wrong word. They were involved in the sport, and I think it was a lot easier. I think, female gymnasts, since they were able to flip and stuff, like Mike said, saw an easy opportunity to make a living at something really fun. Men's wakeboarding, on the other hand, has always been so competitive. There's always been way more men in the sport than women. Nowadays, it's changed. There's a lot more women involved, so it's a little harder for that to happen. But yeah, I think most of the guys always had more of a board sports background as well. So that's a good question. What cross-training sports do you recommend? For wakeboarding, I recommend plyometric workouts. Anything when I was in the best shape of my career, it was directly after blowing my ACL out, and you had to do physical therapy, obviously. But what they did is they made you work out with weights, but they also did all these crazy plyometric workouts where you're jumping on boxes, agility drills, and lunges, and just all this crazy stuff that you just normally wouldn't do if you went to the gym. And see you, Mike. And it builds strength and control, and it just kind of hones your balance, and it's one of the best workouts that you can do for wakeboarding. What the heck? Oh man, but yeah, if you Google search plyometric workouts, you can find some really good stuff. Like Mike is actually doing a lot of guys I hear are doing the P90X workout, and it's a really intense series of workouts that you do, and it kind of works out your whole body in different ways. Sometimes you do cardio, sometimes you do plyometrics, sometimes you do strength training, and it also complements that with a good diet and stuff like that. So I think that's probably the best thing to do is focus on plyometrics, especially if you want to get more spring in your pop. Since we're getting pulled all the time, any kind of Nautilus training, like any cable pulls in all different angles, even weird angles like upside down angles like that. We do some weird stuff on a wakeboard. So any kind of cable pulls at the gym are really good. And anything where you hold position for, I guess they call it static weightlifting. So if you pull down a cable like this and then hold it for as long as you can, you eventually get a really, really good burn. And that's basically what you're doing in wakeboarding. You're holding a position with tension. So stuff like that is really good for wakeboarding as well. But yeah, Google search plyometric workouts, and you'll find a lot of good stuff. How do riders get paid by sponsors? You have to ride good. I mean, you have to obviously make a statement you got to let your riding do the talking. You got to get involved in the industry. and you got to gain respect from other pro riders. A lot of times, sponsors will communicate with people in the industry and ask opinions about certain people. And if they all collaborate and say, yeah, this guy's a really good rider, then you must be doing, he's a really good person. He's just doing a really good job in the industry. Then that eventually speaks speaks a lot. And if you keep, I think we're all just a big team trying to grow the sport of wakeboarding. So if you're riding good and you're doing all that and you're helping everybody grow wakeboarding, someone's going to notice. And nowadays, if you can't do 9s, you might as well forget about it. And even 1080s. If you want to get paid quick, learn a bunch of 1080s. That's the big thing now. Style and spin to win. Let's see, what else? There was a second part of that question. One second. So much for a vid, so much for a mag, or what? Oh, sorry, I kind of read it wrong. Most of them get, monthly salaries, endorsement deals like that. But there's also photo incentive, win incentive, video incentive. I mean, you can draw out a contract in many different ways, but most of them, if you're getting paid, you're getting a monthly salary. Ross, does your daughter wakeboard? She's starting to wakeboard. I pulled her about a month ago. I pulled her up. She kind of got up and kind of got dragged for a little bit, and it was on a really short rope, but she's starting to get into it. Looks like you have a 9-year-old, and you want to get her into it. That's cool. One thing that I did is I took her out on the boat with me, and I threw the rope. When in between sets, I would just throw the rope out, and without a board on her feet or anything, I'd have her hold onto the rope, and I would just pull her in, just like I was reeling in a fish. And what that did is it got her used to being pulled, which is really good. Because if you throw a kid out on a wakeboard, you're strapping them into something really big and heavy, and when they're in the water, that might feel uncomfortable. And then when the boat starts moving, all that noise and rushing water just can freak them out. So if you kind of take baby steps and slowly get them in, used to a pulling motion, I think that's a better route to go. So I did that quite a bit with her, just pulling her in, and then eventually I'd put her out there. She'd hold on to the rope, and then we'd idle back to shore. Not very far, but we'd idle back to shore with her just kind of dragging in the water and just kind of doing this with no board on her feet at all, just kind of dragging with her, like body dragging. And she loved that, and then just kind of talked her into getting into the board, and started pulling her in the same way on the board, just kind of dragging her in by hand, and eventually tied her up to the tower and just slowly idled on a very short rope, like a short rope, talking like 25 to 30 feet, so that way it's pulling straight up to the tower, and that also helps them kind of get up and out of the water. The other thing you can do is put a really big fin on the back, only the back, so that way when they get out, it directs the board and keeps it going straight, so all they have to really do is lean against the rope, and it'll keep them going straight. I'm talking like big fin over 2 inches, maybe even 3 inches. That helps a lot too. Next question, KP, is there technique to a tantrum, or is it just balls? We actually just talked about that earlier. There's 4 main things that you're concerned about. Getting the edge right, or was it 4 or 3? I can't remember. Anyway, number 1 is the edge. It's a trip flip edge. You got to edge hard, flatten off, and then trip yourself at the wake. Number 2, you got to let go early. It's a one-handed trick. And then number 3, you got to square up. You got to get your shoulders in line with the rope and then trip yourself back as you hit the wake. So if you come in on your heels, you got to hit the wake on your toes, and that's what gives you the tripping motion. It's a little bit of both the technique and balls. You gotta not be scared to flip, going 20 miles an hour. So, Bill, do you ever travel to the Northeast, specifically Rhode Island? I went to Rhode Island back when the Gravity Games was around. Back when I rode for Toyota Marine Sports, they were in business for 3 years, I think. But they did the gravity games up in Rhode Island. So I've been there once, but I've never done any clinics. Not saying I wouldn't. I just haven't had any offers to go up and teach wakeboarding up there. So um, if you want to do some clinics, get in contact with me. I'd love to come up. Um, looks like Wakeboard Magazine ranked the pond I live in #1 in Rhode Island. Very cool. KP, I meant Rayleigh. No. So back to that tantrum question. The Rayleigh, no, Rayleigh is definitely technique and balls, just like the tantrum. But in our sport, if you're learning inverts, Rayleighs are the most dangerous trick to learn out of most any trick in wakeboarding. The reason being is if you don't get your board back down, you can catch your edge, and it's one of the hardest falls that you can take on a wakeboard. So what I recommend is always wear a Coast Guard approved vest when learning, and always wear a helmet, but make sure the helmet is tight, not loose. Because if it's loose, when it catches the water, it'll fill up with water and it'll pull on your head. So make sure it's really snug fit and the strap is tight, so that way when you hit the water, it just goes with you. Those two things are mandatory. Other thing that we do is learn it on the trampoline first. Make sure you can do it big and properly on the trampoline. Second step is grab a wake skate. Make sure you can do it off of a wake skate behind the boat. So you edge into the wake, jump off the wake skate without the board on your feet. You can do the technique, pull yourself back down, and then pin drop in the water with your feet together. And if you fall and mess up, the falls don't hurt as much as if you have the board on your feet. But when you're doing it with the wake skate, still wear the helmet, still wear the Coast Guard approved vest. It's just a safer route. And then from there, I would even, if you have a cable park near you, go to the cable and learn it on the cable first before doing it behind the boat. It'll help a lot, and it's a lot safer route. So trampoline, wake skate Rayleigh, cable park, then wake Rayleigh. If you can't do the cable park thing, just be careful, like I said, make sure you wear a helmet, make sure you wear a Coast Guard approved vest. It's not about speed, it's about technique, so keep that in mind. Char bar. I just started. What's an easy trick? You definitely have to. I mean, ollie 180s, ride switch. We have kind of a progression ladder that we teach. So if you're just starting out how to wakeboard, you want to learn a lot of slow speed drills. We do it when a rider comes to the camp and they spend a week at the camp. If they're a super beginner, first thing we teach them is how to control slides, because slides are basically edging. You're using the edge of the board to kind of move yourself around. So there's 3 basic slides that you can learn. There's the front side slide, the back side slide, and then we have what's called a cuff slide. The cuff slide is sliding backwards with 2 hands behind your back, facing away from the boat. If you can learn those, or you should learn those first, and you learn them at about 13 miles an hour, slow speed. So if you catch your edge, it doesn't hurt. And it just allows you to kind of control and learn how to steer the board using the slide positions. Second thing I would learn is switch dance. As soon as you can, learn how to ride switch, because the trick, you're going to want to learn 180s as soon as possible. And if you can't ride switch, you can't land switch. So right after learning those 3 slides, learn how to ride switch, edge out of the wakes. And what you can do is you can actually skip learning how to ride regular and just learn switch first, and if you can ride switch, you'll be able to ride regular. So kind of a little trick you can do just to kind of speed up your progression. So I would learn those. I would learn your 3 slides, learn how to ride switch, and then go right back to the middle, increase the speed a little bit to about 14 to 15 miles an hour, and then learn how to do ollie 180s in the middle. So those are a couple quick tricks you can learn. And then obviously you're going to want to learn how to jump the wake, so that's kind of the next step after that. LOL, is there a humanoid team yet? Yes, we're starting a street team. So basically we're looking for people who are kind of into that more urban style of riding, like wenching and poaching spots, like finding just a random spillway or dam or something like that. People that are into that, and we're trying to hook them up with humanoid boards. So yeah, we're trying to build a street team right now. But there isn't a pro team yet. We're still kind of waiting on some budgets and some funding so we can put a really good pro team, a really good influential pro team together. So double up. Do pros ever get post-career type incentives in their contracts? Oh man, kind of like a retirement, um, a retirement program. Uh, not sure. I've never heard of one personally, but it's possible. Someone like a legend like Sean Murray, he'd probably be the first one to get one, or Darren Shapiro, or Parks. Any of those guys that have done so much for the industry and for their sponsors. I mean, Sean's been with Hyperlight for so long. Um, you know, a lot of times instead of post-career incentives, they get shares of the company. Um, so you work hard and you get offered stuff like that. So I don't know who has shares now, but I know there are people in the industry that are involved with their companies share-wise, like some of the Ronix guys, and I'm sure some of the Hyperlight guys, and other companies out there too. Company wakeboards, I know that they got a lot of their pros involved in the company, like share-wise, so they have some motivation to kind of help the company grow. So I think that's a really good way to compensate your pros. Um, let's see, weight dude, in your Moomba, how much weight do you have? I have a lot. Um, Moomba would probably kill me for saying this, but I have about 3,500 pounds plus in my Moomba, and it's a LSV. It's 21 foot. But what makes it work so well is you know obviously the 340 horsepower Inmar, but the prop that we use is a 14 and a half. It's a high pitch prop that gives you more RPMs, so it allows you to get a lot of weight out of the hole a lot easier. So yeah, I upgraded it from the stock ballast to a lot more weight, and it's got a great wake. So yeah, a lot of weight. CWS. Got to get your daughter on those Nicola Butler skills. Yeah, yeah, in due time. No pressure. I'm gonna kind of just surround my daughter with wakeboarding if she catches on. I just want her to enjoy what she does, so I don't want to really force her to do it. So we'll see what happens. Billy, Bob, Ben, Kurt, Casey. Hey, Kyle, what hat you got on there, buddy? Humanoid, representing my humanoid shirt. So that's Billy Parks, Bob Sitchell, Ben Greenwood, Kurt Robertson, and Kaysen. It might be all of them, or it could be one of them. And then that's Bill. I don't know if that's Billy Park, my buddy, or a different Bill. No, that's a different Billy. What type of training do you recommend to do in the winter to keep in boarding shape? Snowboarding? Any crossover sports. Snowboarding would be great. The only problem with snowboarding is there's not a lot of pull on your upper body, so you're not really working out your upper body so much as your legs. But crossover sports are really good to do. I wouldn't say stop snowboarding. I would definitely go snowboarding. But we talked about this a little bit earlier. Google. You might have heard of Google. It's this search engine thing. But I would Google plyometric workouts. Plyometric workouts or P90X. P90X I hear is just intense, but works really well. I would go that route. Plyometric workouts really get you some spring in your step and are great for wakeboarding. Sync, hook me up. I'll do anything. Hello. Just kidding. Send us a video. We'll check you out for sure. Just go to humanoidwake.com and then go to the contact page and put attention Joel or attention me, and we'll check out the video. we definitely are open to stuff like that. Stoked. What is the trick to doing air tricks on the cable? Oh man, you gotta learn the load and release technique. Okay, I'm gonna try to explain this on a webcam, so this might be a little challenging. So I'm gonna use my hand as my little body. So say this is a person, and they're standing on the ground. So if you're looking at them from the side, this would be the front, this would be the side, right? If someone leans back on a wakeboard, that's them edging, right? So if this is 0, not edging, and you lay it all the way back on the water, that would be a 10 edge, or your hardest edge, right? So when you load the line and then release it, when you actually release it, you're actually moving your body upward first. It doesn't go forward first, it goes up, then forward. So when you edge and lean against the rope, it actually kind of turns into a bungee effect. So if you do that quick and then release it, you can actually catapult yourself into a forward flip. Okay? So imagine if you're on your heel side edge and you lean straight back against your heel side edge and then like bounce into a forward flip. So back and then forward into a forward flip. But then as you were getting kicked forward, you redirected the rotation. So it's like a forward flip and then a turn like this, that would kind of turn it into a heel side back roll. Or if I loaded back and then bounced forward and then turned like this, that would be a heel side front flip. Or if I loaded back, kept my head up and let my feet out the back, that would be a railing. So you got to figure out how to get that bungee effect, and that's kind of how you do it on the cable too. The thing about the cable is you can use corners to help you, get that kind of slinging motion up into the air. Best thing to do is go to a cable, kind of talk to the starter, the person who lets you off the dock, or find the person that's doing all the air tricks around the cable and just talk to them. I mean, a lot of those guys will help you out. They're really open to helping people learn. So it's kind of a weird technique. It's hard to explain over a webcam, but yeah, you got to figure out that catapulting motion. But they all have the same motion. It's just a redirect after you get the pop. CWS, where can I get that shirt? humanoidwake.com. Just go on there and you can order it right now, and it'll be at your door in a matter of days. So check out the store. Charbar, I skated. What type of board should I ride? Depends on your weight and your height. A lot of board manufacturers just do weight, but you have to look at your height as well. So if you're really skinny, but you're really tall, you probably weigh 150 pounds, but you're 6'3", you'd still have to ride a bigger board. You'd have to ride a board that a 200-pound guy would ride. So excuse me. You kind of have to factor in both variables, height and weight. But if you're a beginner rider, you want to try to find something that's forgiving, so nothing too fancy, just a real basic shape. No bells and whistles, because it's probably going to end up being more forgiving. And I also recommend variable edges. A variable edge is where the heel side and toe side edge of the board are kind of rounded, so that way if you mess up and you start to slide, you don't catch your edges easy. If you get a board that's super sharp on the edge, you're going to take some hard diggers, especially when you're learning. So I'd find something with more of a rounder perimeter shape, no crazy bat tails or really fancy tails, and then variable edge on the heel and toe side. Let's see. Jolski. There are boards that have rocker built in instead of camber. Check out the Evo by Never Summer. Huh. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what that means, but maybe I skipped something. Oh, there it is. I go to school. Okay. Let's see. Hills. I broke a rib on a scarecrow. Any ideas on what I did wrong? I want to master a stupid thing. Hills, can you answer me this question? Can you do a toe side front roll? If you can't do a toe side front roll, you should go back and learn that first. A lot of people skip that step, and it's partly because I think because of the name of the trick. If they wouldn't have named it a scarecrow, I don't think people would go for it first. If they would have named it a toe side front roll to fakie, I think people would be a little more skeptical on trying it before they would try a front roll. So it's kind of like, would you learn a tantrum to fakie before you learn a tantrum? Probably not. So you got to learn the base trick first, and that gives you a better foundation. So what I would do is go, if you can't, go back, learn a toe side front roll, get that down. It's probably going to teach you to go more over the top, over the rope, straight over, instead of around the back. A lot of people have a tendency to do that when they learn scarecrows first. And overall, it's just going to give you a better foundation. So when you decide to do scarecrows or other tricks like, grab scarecrows, tootsie rolls, chrome lobes, anything related to a scarecrow, you're just going to have a better foundation because you learned a toe side front roll first. Yeah, so that's probably the problem. Go back, learn toe side front roll, come back to the scarecrow, and you'll be better off. Let's see. Holy Spanish. Oh man, I can kind of read that, but not really. Hold on. We're gonna break bad with the Google Translator. Un momento, por favor. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, I got it. We're going from Spanish to English. And go. You think is the most difficult? No, that didn't come out right at all. Maybe you could translate that to English. Mine says, you think is the most difficult to, I guess it's saying, what do you think the most difficult trick to do is? By the way, we have a translate function in the bulletin board on our website, on learnwake.com. So if you feel like you don't know English and you still want to join LearnWake, you can, because if you want to ask us questions, you can ask in your language, we can translate it, and then translate our English to your language so you can understand what we're saying. So that's pretty cool. What trick do I think is the hardest to do? Well, obviously all the these 1080s that these guys are doing those are really technical. The 1260 that Danny landed, that's amazing. Anything that just kind of pushes the limits of the sport is probably going to be the hardest. The hardest thing I've ever landed was a 900 off the double up. So that and big worms and whirly fives and stuff like that, or crow mob fives. But yeah, 900 is probably the hardest thing that I've ever landed. Shane, how do I do a bat wing? We have kind of a sequence on LearnWake. We have a sequence that we teach. We teach a toe side, front side shifty, and what that does is it teaches you how to use the handle properly, and how to move your body as well. Because when you do a bat wing, you have to do kind of a little shifty as you leave the wake, and then you have to move the handle to turn yourself back into position to get down. So if you take the drift out and just learn the shifty, you learn how to use the handle, and then all you do is add the load of the line to drift the board out. So what you can do is you can learn a toe side front side shifty first, and then a toe side indie front side shifty first, and then from there you add the load on the line that gives you the drift, and you do the toe side indie front side shifty with the drifting motion, and that's a good route to take to learn the bat wing. So the other way is you can just do toe side indie grab after indie grab, but it takes a lot longer to basically build up the courage to drift further every single time that you do a jump. It's the longer route, but definitely the more safer route. But I would go the shifty route. It seems like it's also a lot easier if you turn your toes down towards the water, and to do that you have to do the shifty. So that's the route I would go. Um, Translation good. I hear English, but no. Nice. Where are you from? Are you from Mexico or Spain? Nice. I've actually been to Spain a couple times. Where in Spain are you from? I've been to Cordoba. Have you ever heard of Extreme Gene? It's a camp over there, and it's a really cool place to ride actually. Have you ever been to Florida? I'm not sure if you're asking me that or Charbar. Are you asking me that or are you asking Azmat? Ah, Barcelona. Cool. Very cool. Hills. Where in the U.S. besides Orlando are the hotspots of wakeboarding? Um, I actually live in Florida, Charbar, by the way. So, yes, I've been there. I've lived there my whole life. I'm in Florida right now. I'm in Claremont, Florida, and that is where I reside. Um, but the hotspots, other than Orlando, I would say Texas, like Middle Texas, Austin, Dallas, Southern California, the Northwest, Oregon, Washington. Um, probably there. Nothing really compares to Florida though, as far as hotspots. But Texas is got a lot of wakeboarding going on. Billy, Bob, Ben, Kurt, Kason, it's all of us. Nice. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming to watch me. That's the wakeboard camp support team right there. Awesome. Hills, do you think you could have made it pro in baseball? Maybe. Um, I was actually supposed to be drafted my sophomore year in uh, in college, but I just wasn't happy playing baseball, so I gave it up. Had a few scholarship offers to some D1 schools, and or I could have chose to be drafted into the minor leagues. So yeah, I probably could have. I was a lefty pitcher, and I threw in the low 90s. So those were a kind of a hot commodity back then. But I don't know, happiness, or they kind of outweighed everything. So I wanted to do something I enjoyed and had fun doing. No regrets. I love wakeboarding. Shane, have you been to CWC in the Philippines? No, I don't think I have. I've been to a cable park in Malaysia though. I think it was Malaysia, or was it the Philippines? Um, I went to Singapore on a trip with Ben Greenwood, and I don't know, Ben, maybe you remember the name of the cable park, uh, but we went to a cable park over in on that trip. And it wasn't the CWC, so I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Um, Azamat. If I want to go to the U.S., where is a good spot to find a place to wakeboard? At the wakeboard camp in Claremont, Florida. Go to wakeboardcamp.com and check out the website. Come stay with us. We'll teach you everything you need to know about wakeboarding. Chaz, did you see Sean's show, by the way? I did not. I did not see Sean's show, but I bet I could watch that's a tongue twister. Sean's show. But I bet I could watch a rerun. Shane, 360 cable in Singapore. Actually, that cable wasn't built yet when Ben and I went there. So, um, it was a different cable. It wasn't actually in Singapore. It was close to it. Thanks for posting that link, by the way, wakeboardcamp.com. Charbar, there's a cable park in Wet and Wild. Yeah, that thing's been there forever. It's probably one of the oldest cable parks in the United States. Best wake skate trick. CWS. Of yours? Of mine? I stink at wakeboard or wake skating. Um, I never really wake skated that much. I could do shove-its, and that's about it. So no, I'm not definitely not a wake skater, and never will claim that I am. Giddy up. Do you like the current judging format in the Pro Tour? What do you think can be improved? I love the judging format. I think it's been so great to see people adding just stylish moves into their run, and that was one thing that was lacking. For a while, you weren't required to do like a big air trick, and railie tricks started to disappear a little bit, and that's been a trademark in our sport for so many years. And just the big grabs. I mean, you never saw those in competitions. It was always go as technical as you possibly could, and it was getting to the point where junior men's was more technical, than pro, because it was kind of the proving grounds. It actually still is kind of the proving grounds to go pro. But now the sport just looks better than ever in competitions, and I think people that don't know what all the technical moves are can relate to the sport better, so it just makes for a better show. Yeah, it's just a lot more fun to watch when you go to competitions. People are just going so big because they're required to, and just doing more basic stuff, and it just looks good. Some of the simplest moves, like a really big indie backside nose bone, I think just looks so good out on the water. And that's something that you shouldn't take out of competitions. Like when you watch vert skating, you always see those guys do, or even vert snow, like half pipe snowboarding. You always see those guys do a really big grab, just kind of slow and as big as possible, and then they mix in technical stuff too, and that's something that we were lacking. So I'm really pumped. As far as things that can be improved, I don't know. If budgets get bigger, I think our competition areas could be better. But that all depends on money. I don't I don't think I think we're doing good right now. I'm not going to complain one bit. Um, it'd be nice to see wakeboarding get back into X Games. It's a shame that Danny and Parks can't, or Danny's 4 times X Games champion. He right now they took us out of X Games and he can't try to claim a 5th medal. So and basically the reason that we're not in X Games is because the limitations of the venue. We need a really big area of water, and to get that really close to the venue is really tough to do. So that's been a big part of why we were taken out. Let's see, next question. Do you think there could be a better way to handle protests and comps? Yeah. Man, I hate all this political stuff. I hate being the political guy. I don't know. I think you better have a really good reason to protest, and if you do, you better do it in a very uh, you just should be cautious about how you do it, and make sure that you have everybody else's best interest in mind as well. I know you're trying to win a contest, but um, yeah, you just got to make sure that you're not offending anybody at the same time. That's a tough one. I don't really care to get into that kind of political stuff. Um, let's see. TV show. What? Oh, CWS is asking me, I guess, what my favorite TV show is. Man, that's a tough one too. I love watching rerun movies. Um, Yeah, just any reruns. I used to watch Scrubs a lot. I like Entourage now. Entourage is pretty good. But rerun movies, anything with I'm a huge Keanu Reeves fan, as crazy as that sounds, and Bruce Willis, and yeah, so I can watch the Die Hard series over and over. Point Break, Speed, yeah, as cheesy as that sounds, I don't care. I like it. Uh, let's see. Have I been to Radar Lake? I have not been to Radar Lake, although I'd love to go at least one time in my career. It's been kind of top secret. If you weren't on the Hyperlight team, and now the Ronix team, I don't think you were really allowed to go there. So I guess they just recently opened it up to the public. So maybe I'll have a chance to visit. That's kind of a legendary spot. So that would be great. Pictures look amazing. Jax. Do you think cable will bring wakeboarding back to the X Games? Possibly. I hope so, especially with the Wake Park project and the little cable series, cable park projects that they're like the Red Bull. Um, Man, I'm having a brain fart. What's the name of that? The Red Bull. Someone help me out here. Um, yeah, Wake Lab. Thanks. Yeah, the Wake Lab. I mean, I think the Wake Lab is really cool, and it's definitely something that could possibly get us back in the X Games. I think that would be awesome. Charge for protesting? I don't know. I don't know about that. Chowbar, have you ever been to Lake Weir? Wow, there's a lot of Lake Weirs out there. I think we have a Lake Weir in Florida, so um, maybe. Depends on Lake Weir, which one you're talking about. I don't know. You're gonna have to be more specific on that one. Giddy up. What about the contest, Red Bull? Yeah, that's the Wake Lab. So. Oh, my wife got on there. She's making fun of me about speed and Keanu Reeves. I'm not afraid to admit it. Um, Thanks, sweetie. I appreciate that. Charter Florida. Lake Weir, Florida. I think I've been to Lake Weir. CWS. I didn't think it was open to the public. Yeah, this just has happened recently. Maybe, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. Famous Gator Joe's. Lake Weir. Is that up in Jacksonville? Charbar, where are you from? Ocala? Oh yeah, Ocala, Lake Weir. Yeah. Yeah, I've been to Lake Weir. I went up there and I think I judged a contest for Billy Nichols a long, long time ago. Man, it was probably eight years ago maybe, up at Gator Joe's. It was really rough that day. And I think we just went out on the boat and kind of hung out with people on the road and stuff. But yeah, I have been up there. What pro do you think best represents wakeboarding? Oh, there's a lot. Uh, it depends on what you mean by represents. Um, Danny Harf is one hell of a model American. He's my favorite. I think he's just he's the best at riding right now. His demeanor. He's just a really cool guy, you know. I don't know, no drama with him. Just lets his riding do the talking, and he's super mellow and super nice to everybody that he talks to. There's a lot of people though. I mean, uh, Ben Greenwood, another model American. I mean, his riding, has influenced people for for the last 5 years, and it's still influencing people. So there's a lot of guys out there that are really good for wakeboarding. Um, but yeah, Danny Harf would be definitely number one on my list. Um, Sean Murray, probably the most well-known representative of like ambassador of our sport, though. Sean's definitely high up there on the list. Sean's a really good guy too. Uh, Hey dude, what do you recommend to try for a first invert? Most of the time people learn either a tantrum or a heel side back roll first. But it really depends on you. So if you're not good at backflips, you're probably not going to learn a tantrum first. Um, if you're really good at backflips, like on the trampoline or off the diving board, um, I would say tantrum's probably going to be a good one to learn. Lately, we've been teaching people a lot. Toe side back rolls as a first flip, believe it or not, toe side back roll. And the reason why is because you can do it one-handed. You can edge out, let go of your backhand, come in, with just one hand on the handle, and then jump off the wake and just flip straight back. It just simplifies the flip. So it's one of those three: heel side back roll, tantrum, or toe side back roll. And you don't have to learn them two wake. You can learn them one wake. And it says also, what trick should I have down before I try an invert? Definitely whichever, if you're going to learn a heel side trick, heel side jumps, but not just wake to wake. Learn them where you can land really big out in the flats. And the reason why is because the impact that you'll take when you land a flip is going to be very similar to a jump that you land way out in the flats. If you're only able to go wake to wake, you're probably not going to be able to pop high enough or take the impact that you'll take with a flip. So if you're going to learn a toe side flip, learn toe side jumps, but learn them landing out in the flats as well, past the wake. What do you think of Chris O'Shea's style? Yeah, I mean he rides really good. He's always kind of pushing the limits of going big, and he's a good rider. Getty up. What trick should wakeboarding drop out of the books? What trick should I never do? Man, probably a Slurpee. I would say don't do that. um, or let's see. Let me think about that one. I'll get back to you on that one for a second. Katie, hi dork. You're doing is that my sister? Man, my sister's on right now. This is embarrassing. Hi, Katie. Thanks for coming on. Roast beef. Oh, I guess that's in respect to that question. Charbar, have you ever wakeboarded on New Year's? I don't know, maybe. I can't think back if I ever have or haven't. Possibly. We probably did like a night session or something. I mean, I can't remember specifically, but that's a possibility. Let's see. Tendies. Yeah, good. That's a great answer. What trick should you never do? A tendy grab. Never do a tendy. What's a Slurpee? A Slurpee is kind of back in the day, they started doing tricks where they come into the wake, edging into the wake with two hands behind their back like this, and then they would do flips, like taking off with two hands. So a Slurpee ended up being this weird toe side back roll, spinny, flippy trick. So, yeah, I wouldn't do that one. My wife's laughing at me again. Jay Schmidt, thanks for that. I appreciate it. Brandon, do you recommend slowing the boat down or changing the length of the rope for your first attempt on a wakeboard? For what? For getting up on a wakeboard? Or just, can you be a little more specific on what you're attempting? Oh, an invert. We always do, like for a back roll, we teach people to, holy crap, it's 10:15 already. We teach people to do kind of air back rolls on a very, very short rope. And we do them at slow speed. So we'll do I'll teach people how to do air back rolls on a 25-foot rope going 15 miles an hour. And the purpose is not to land the trick. It's more just to get the rotation and the pop. And then from there, we lengthen the rope out and we do it inside out. So you start in the middle of the wakes and you use the inside lip of the wake to do the same kind of air roll motion. And you do that at about 16 to 17 miles an hour, maybe 18. And then from there, you go on a really long rope and you do one wake into the middle, landing in the middle. And then from there, you shorten back up to about 55 to 60, and then you do it wake to wake, or 60 to 65. It depends on the boat, really. Tantrums, you start on a long rope as long as possible and just do them one wake. All of which you can change the boat speed at the same time depending on what step of the progression you're at. So there's more detailed information on that on learnwake.com. So if you have questions, you can also just talk to me more on the bulletin board. Let's see, Ron. What would you recommend on starting to do an ollie backside 180? Hey Ron, what is your last name? You answer my question, then I'll answer your question. Charbar, you look like Rob Deerdeck. Thank you. I guess I'll take that as a compliment. Jax, great show, Kyle. Thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to do this once a month, every month. I guess it's going to be the first Tuesday of every month. This month it didn't work out that way, but it'll definitely be on a Tuesday every month. So pretty cool. Let's see. Let's answer a couple more questions, and then we're going to call it a show for tonight. Let's see. Have you ever been to Bull Shoals Lake? That's a good question. Where exactly is Bull Shoals? I've been to a lot of lakes, so it's hard to. If you give me some more hints, maybe I can remember the time and the reason why I was there. Arkansas, Missouri, Murray's favorite. I have been to Missouri and Arkansas. I went on the trip across America to a bunch of different lakes. So when Liquid Force was doing their bus tour, their demo tour, I definitely did a leg of it through Arkansas and Missouri. What is it? What town is it in? Because it sounds really familiar. Oh, thanks, wife. Good job. See you when you get home. Ron, it's your favorite fan. What's your last name, Ron? Getty up. Wow. Why is Mike's computer working in the background with no one there? Yeah, that's a good question. He might be working on it at home. He might be logged in remotely. He's real tech like that. Actually, we might have ghosts in the office. What's the website again for me to send the video? Sorry. Learnwake.com. Oh, humanoidwake.com. Yeah, there you go. Sweet. Thanks. If my boat doesn't have a tower, would you recommend going? Yeah, you don't need a tower. I mean, a lot of people learned inverts back in the day with no tower, but it definitely helps to have a higher up pull. So, but yeah, you can. I mean, a lot of people learn inverts on a personal watercraft like a Sea-Doo. You know, they use the inside lip of the wake, and they just load the line and do kind of like an air back roll off that little lip. So yeah, you don't need a tower to learn inverts, but you might want to shorten the rope and slow down the boat so you have a nice big lip on the inside so you can do it off the inside roller. It's a big lake somewhere. Yeah, I can't remember. It sounds very familiar. I may have been there back in the day. All right, I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Thanks for joining me, and come back next month. Ask me some questions on wakeboard instruction. I'll try to help you out. I appreciate it. Check out learnwake.com, wakeboardcamp.com, humanoidwake.com. Yeah, man. We'll check you later. All right. Thanks.